I always knew it was going to be an interesting challenge to get some interesting images, using very little. The way he wanted it to look, he had some ideas on the look he had in his mind, and it was quite a slick look, a kind of David Fincher-esque look. And when we turned up on the studio, we were quite surprised because we booked the studio as a blacked out studio, and the idea was to have kind of a very moody set. So when we turned up and we saw the white cyc and the low ceiling, and it was basically fundamentally a garage, we were a little bit kind of taken aback. Lucky that the lights that I had with me had the control to kind of get us through and help shape a look. We were in a situation where we were told it was going to be a blackout studio, so we were planning for a blackout studio. If I just brought lights that would work for that, we'd be in a lot of trouble now. Thankfully, we have the PanAuras and we have Dedos, because what we need to do is today we need to control the light in a very controlled way. Now, the thing that I love about PanAuras is the fact is you get the 5 foot, the 7 foot. This is the 5 foot here, so you get the centre baffle in, which produces a really even, soft light source. And to get light that even usually takes quite a lot of mechanics. It takes a lot of paraphernalia, and so you have to bounce light into something, or you have big soft boxes that have a lot of depth to them. The reason the PanAura I think works very well is because it's very low profile. So if you look at the profile of it here, I mean, that's like maybe less than a foot. So what you can do is in locations and in studios that don't have a super high ceiling, you can boom them over and produce a down soft light. Now, for me, one of the holy grails of lighting is a down soft light. Because I think in most situations it can supplement other lights, or it can work on its own very, very well. And it's usually, they're very difficult to rig that sort of thing in the studio. It's usually quite tricky. But this does it for you. You can basically put your soft light anywhere in the room you want to, because it's quite a lightweight fixture. So we're using quite a light stand here with just one sandbag. So normally, in a minute you'll see we're going to boom this over, and normally a light would weigh too much for you to do that. Particularly a competing brand soft light would weigh quite a lot, and it wouldn't be possible to put the light where you want it. So firstly, it's the quality of light you get from these, and secondly, it's the fact that they're quite lightweight and quite low profile, so you can literally put that light where you want to. And that's kind of, as a DOP, that's what you want. You want quality of light that you can place and control selectively. You want to be able, you want to get your quality of light, and then you want to place it in the set exactly where you want it and nowhere else. And that's the secret. So the brief was, we had to shoot a huge amount of footage. He required something upwards of 50 shots to be shot in a straight day, in an 8-hour, 10-hour day. So I knew that our approach should be simple. We should try and light the scene quite quickly and quite simply, and get shooting as quickly as possible. And that's what we did. The way we lit it is we lit it all with Dedo lights. We had the PanAura, 5 foot PanAura from above, and we had a Dedo 650 with some dark magenta, which is his brand colour, on the background lights, which we used to light the white cyc. And then we had a little Dedo 150 watt tungsten as a backlight, and a kind of an effect light, you could say. And that was it. That's all we used. That's all the lights we used. And the reason I think we managed to get some shape into the shot was really by virtue of the design and the precision of the lighting we used. Because if we'd used like kind of normal open-faced light, or even like a big Fresnel light or something, immediately we would have overlit the set, and we would never have achieved that sort of dark, moody atmosphere that he wanted. So you could argue that the most powerful light in the scene is the Dedo 150 watt light. So, you could say that was actually the main light, and it's a 150 watt bulb. It's nothing, But nowadays with modern cameras, you can get away with using very minimal levels of light, and you can finesse. The thing I like about working with low light levels, it seems to be a more delicate approach when you're not working with big lighting fixtures and huge amounts of light. you can see, I think you can be more subtle. And what's more important with this shoot also was that we knew that we're going to have to build the lighting around the illumination of the monitors. So, you know, I knew I was filming an edit suite, so the first thing you think is, are the monitors going to be on? Yes, they are. So that's going to give a certain level of illumination. Do you want to see the images on the monitors? Yes, I do. So you're going to build all your lighting around that. So you're already starting with a low level of light. So there's no point in bringing in big, harsh lighting. It's just not going to work. So this is a perfect example of showing how the precision and the elegance of Dedo lights can really bring a lot to a production and really control what you want to do. You don't get much harder and much more controllable than, say, a Dedo 400 with a projector lens on the front. That's a pretty direct, hard light. A light so controllable that you can literally make a square of light, you know, 4 or 5 millimeters square almost from the other side of the room. It's kind of mind-blowing what they can produce. And so that gives you an incredibly controllable hard light. And then for the soft light, going to the other extreme, you want a completely even light. But with soft light, the difficulty with soft lighting is the light spills everywhere, right? So the kind of holy grail of the soft light, the most desirable soft lights are the ones that can produce an even light that is controllable. And controllable in the sense that it falls off from the soft light to darkness quite quickly. And for that you use you can use honeycombs or egg crates, to control the direction of the light. So you have an even light, but it falls off to black quite quickly. Now that's really desirable. Using soft lighting, it doesn't draw attention to itself. It's got, it's kind of like being able to have a soft light that's controllable and it can be put anywhere in a scene, and particularly in small locations, and produce results is really valuable in modern lighting. This level of lighting wouldn't have been possible 5 years ago when we were shooting on film. We were working to quite low light levels. I mean, the brightest lighting shot, our backlight, is a 150 watt Dedo, and that's our brightest light. And then we have the 650 watt Dedo with the red gel on it, which takes a lot of light's intensity away because it's quite a rich colour. And that's working really well. And then we have overhead, we have the 5 foot daylight PanAura with some Liberty green on it. So quite low light levels really, and we got the PanAura. It's the lowest setting we can put on it, so we can go a lot brighter than that. It's balanced quite well, and again, hardly any light really. The way I view lighting is, rather than having a key light, a fill light, and a backlight, like the traditional ways of talking about it, I like to think of them as a shaping, a light that shapes, a light that creates shape. Now that could be the soft light. It doesn't have to be the hard light. The soft light can be your main source, and that can be the light that's creating all the shape. So you have your light that creates shape, or your modelling light, I suppose you could call it, and then you have a softening light, which could be the fill light. When you're working with big soft sources like the PanAura, you don't necessarily need a softening light. The PanAura is such a soft, beautiful light in itself that just getting the angle on that right is enough to wrap around, to kind of envelope around someone's face, to wrap around and to produce its own sort of nice fall off, without needing anything else. So if that window wasn't there, and we were in a studio, one of the things, you put a PanAura behind that window and you'd have something that looks like you're looking out onto sky, which is the softest source you can get. So when you look back to nature and you think, well, what are the two sources that I'm affected by every day when I go outside? Well, you're really dealing with the sky and the sun, aren't you? Those are the two extremes of a specular sun source and then the massive envelope of the sky. And the majority of effects you get in nature is a combination of those two things playing out against each other. The advantage of doing it this way is, with the precision of the Dedo lens, you can literally shape the light exactly in the screen of the monitor. If we put white paper on that allows us to pretty much light the screen with an increased amount of light for his face without the need to put an additional light in. So we could shoot profile shots along here, where you're literally flush with the monitor and we've lit his face. Now normally you'd have to put a light in there, but by doing it this way, you can increase the amount of footage you get. You can get shots pretty much right on the edge of the monitor without seeing any light, just seeing the light like it's emitting from the monitor. So it's a little bit of a cheat. It looks like the light's coming from the monitor, where in fact it's actually being projected from a light off screen. So we had a square of light on the monitor exactly the size of the monitor screen, and that was lighting Paddy's face, and then we just got the gaffer to put his hand in front of the light to affect some lighting change, and it worked very well. I mean, it's, you know, the other way of doing it would have been to put an LED panel on the monitor. The problem with that is that, you know, if you're coming into close-up shots or profile shots, you see the light, you know. So this way is I think a more subtle way of doing it. Precision lighting is the future, you know, for me. Not rather than having lots of lights, having the ones that work very well, and seeing how little you can get away with rather than how much. You can't beat the optics of a Dedo. I mean, a Dedo, the way the light falls off and the colour stays true through that fall off is quite exceptional.